Nowadays, America seems unbeatable, but over the last 500 years, three superpowers as dominant as America have completely vanished. Spain, which was the first global superpower in history, controlled 90% of world silver production in the 16th century. At the time, silver was a global currency like today's dollars. Besides that, their military was huge, but their superpower eventually collapsed. Then came Britain. At one point, Britain was called an empire on which the sun never sets. They control 25% of world total landmass area. They also introduced the modern banking system to the whole world, but that also collapsed. Then came the Soviet Union, whose military strength changed the direction of World War II. From science and technology to nuclear weapons, it was a head-to-head competitor of the US, but that also collapsed. So what are the reasons of these superpowers fell, and why so many people are predicting that the US also following the same pattern? Let's figure it out. The story starts with Spain. Spain becomes superpower largely due to luck. In 14th century, it was divided into three kingdoms. But in 1469, the Princess of Castile married the Prince of Aragon, uniting the two kingdoms. Then they declared the war on the third kingdom, which was under Muslim control. And in 1492, they unified that as well. This is how modern Spain was formed. In 1492, their fate truly changed. After trying for 8 years, they agreed to deal with Christopher Columbus. Then they found the Americas. From there, they found massive amount of gold, especially silver mines. Silver at the time basically became like today's dollars, especially because of China, who started trading using silver. From the mid-15th to 19th century, its influence remained strong. During this time, over 85% of world silver production came from Peru, Bolivia, and Mexico, which three continents were under Spanish control. Because of this, Spain became superpower almost luckily, but they couldn't use it properly. First, due to wars, sometimes with England, sometimes with France, sometimes with the Ottoman Empire, or even sometimes with Philippines. Most of the wealth came from the Americas was spent on wars. Even worse, the silver shipments were unstable. Sometimes they arrived, sometimes loaded, or sometimes lost in natural disasters. As a result, Spain's situation became unstable. Sudden wealth caused high inflations, or at the other time they had to borrow money from bankers due to shortages. This pushed Spain into debt trap. At the same time, they reduced their own production. Their mindset was, if we have money, then why producing something? Let's just import. This destroyed their internal economy. Inflation increased, they had trade deficit and kept taking loans due to wars, emptying their treasury again and again. During this period, Spain officially became bankrupt 6 times. Although silver prevented their total collapse, but they lost colony after colony. Today, Spain is just a normal European country. After them, Britain rules as the next superpower. By building colonies after colonies, they control 25% of world total landmass area. But just 2 world wars destroyed them. Although the world wars were just like matchsticks, they were oil-filled room. The main problem, like Spain, was overexpansion. When an empire grows beyond its capacity, controls become difficult. More importantly, they misused their power. The Indian subcontinent contributed nearly half of their GDP, and yet they destroyed its industry, its economy, everything you can think about. Eventually, it's become a burden. Another key issue was lack of innovations. We all know the Industrial Revolution began in Britain, but they failed to stay innovative for a long time. They stuck in old machines because those were still profitable. Meanwhile, countries like USA and Germany moved ahead in industries like steel, chemicals, and electronics. One reason was Britain's education system, which focused more on literature than science and engineering. Their goal was to produce gentlemen because workers were in their colonies. Just like Spain, they relied heavily on imports instead of production. They paid the price during world wars, especially World War II, when they had to import weapons, even food from the Allies. Although they won the wars, but cost of wars emptied their treasury, and they were deeply in debt to America. Still, they believed they are powerful until the Suez Canal crisis proved them wrong.
Suez Crisis.
A dispute over the Suez Canal in Egypt led to international crisis and war.
As Britain declined, the 2 new superpowers emerged. One of them, the USSR, no longer exists. Their main collapse is explained by 2 main reasons. First, centralized economy. Second, trying to fix that centralized economy. But the deeper reason were more complex. Just like Spain, the overexpansion played a role. Soviet troops were in many Eastern European countries as well as Cuba, Vietnam and Afghanistan. Their GDP per capita was like a developing country, and yet they spent heavily on military and technology when their people don't even have any food to eat. Everything of the economy was controlled by the government, so people lacked motivation because effort didn't change their lives. And while the government focused on wars, this weakened their economy. They could sustain the cost and start borrowing. At the same time, the USA made a strategic move with Saudi Arabia by increasing oil production. This caused oil price to fall from $27 per barrel to $10 per barrel. Since the USSR heavily dependent on energy exports, about 80% of total foreign earnings, this hit them hard. They literally tried to shift toward capitalism and gave people more freedom, but it was too late. Economic conditions worsened. The USSR also geographically huge with diverse population. When all got freedom, they pursued different demands, and the government lost control. As a result, the USSR split into 15 new countries. Now notice something common. Overexpansion and wars caused most of these collapses, and this brings us to the USA. It has around 800 military bases worldwide. It spent 20 years in Afghanistan, 9 years in Iraq. At the same time, it faced major economic crises, and yet it is still a superpower. Since becoming a powerful, experts have repeatedly predicted its fall. It's just about 5 years and 10 years, then the US economy will collapse. First, in 1957, when the USSR launched the first satellite. Then the USA realized it was no longer only tech superpower. Then in 1958, NASA was created. Then in 1970s came the oil crisis, Vietnam War failure and Iran hostage crisis. Later came China's rise, 2008 financial crisis, Afghanistan failure, tensions with Iran, and yet it still remains a superpower. Because the USA dominates in not just one area, but also in military, economy, and culture. And simply put, the key is the dollar. After World War II, which became the most trusted currency, initially it was linked to gold, so countries accepted it globally. But in 1971, the US printed more dollars than it has gold, so it removed the gold link. At first, this weakened the dollars, but eventually it becomes a strength, because the USA linked the dollars with essential global systems like oil and gas. The US has agreements with most of oil and gas producing countries, and those who didn't agree, you know what happened with them. However, this creates instability. The value of dollars fluctuates with the market. To stabilize it, the Federal Reserve raises the interest rate, which reduces borrowing, lowers inflation, and attracts investors, increasing dollar demand. But this has a huge problem. Over time, the combination of monetary policy and rising asset prices has widened the wealth gap. Those who own stocks and real estate become much richer, while many middle-class families struggle to keep up. The wealth inequality in America has grown massively. 98% of wealth is controlled by top 50%. 30% of that is controlled by top 1%, which raises the political divisions. And jobs? The US has long run in trade deficit and deeply in debt. Trump's tariff and AI job replacement have worsened things. Entry-level jobs are at their worst. Underemployment rate is about 8% for adults, 40% for graduates. So jobs are declining. After COVID, the job situation is among the worst. And yet, the US economy survives because of the dollars. Their internal market has world-famous companies. The driving force of the world, oil and gas, is mostly bought by using dollars. International loans are taken in dollars. International exchanges are done in dollars. That's why the dollar has so much value. And USA is doing everything to protect it. And it also doesn't have any strong competitor yet. So USA will collapse, but not like them or not suddenly.